Hey, my name is Michelle and I deleted social media for a video challenge and I'm not sure if I'm going to re-download it. So if you want to see how a university student in the midst of a global pandemic is going about life without social media, then make sure you watch till the end to see if I've decided to re-download it or not.
Tell me again, just tell me again and I'll make it right.
So you might be wondering, why was I so crazy and decided to delete social media? And there are a few things that I wanted to get out of this challenge. Like I said, it was a challenge for a video. I was trying to think of video ideas and I was like, oh, I'll just delete social media for a week. It will be easy, something to talk about. And then I started to watch a couple of videos about the benefits of deleting social media, such as increasing your self-worth, being more present in the moment, using that time that you would waste on social media to take up different activities instead, for example like reading the Bible or studying, for example. To be fair to myself, studying wasn't something that I came into this previous week being like, I'm going to delete social media so that I can study more, to be fair. Keep watching if you want to find out if it helped me or not. Anyway, so for me, like the reasons that I wanted to delete social media was definitely to be more present. I realised that like when I was talking to friends and family, like I'd be scrolling through Twitter at the same time, or TikTok or Instagram, and yeah, that's just, it's not really fair to anyone, and then what am I getting out of that interaction? So in the end, there's three things I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be more present, I wanted to spend more time with my friends and family in terms of actually being present during that time, and also just like checking in on more friends and stuff like that. And thirdly, I wanted to read more. So during the beginning of the week, I found that I kind of just replaced the old social medias that I had deleted. By the way, I deleted Twitter, TikTok and Instagram. I already didn't have Facebook because I deleted that in the first lockdown when I did a similar video that was a day without social media. So yeah, I deleted Facebook then, and then this time I deleted Twitter, TikTok and Instagram. So I love TikTok, as like everyone does. Twitter I do enjoy as well, and then Instagram is probably my least favourite, like to the point where I've turned off my notifications because it stresses me out too much. Like if I uploaded a photo, like I'd be checking how many likes it had and stuff like that, and that's obviously just not healthy. So there's definitely a lot of like toxic behaviours that come from social media, and I was aware of that, but I still thought that the benefits outweighed the drawbacks. So like I said, beginning of the week, I just replaced those social medias with mostly YouTube. Also, I've never refreshed my emails so many times in my entire life. But yeah, like I was basically like just watching YouTube all the time, but I like to think that that's kind of productive in a way, because obviously I do YouTube as a hobby, and I like to think that when I'm watching other people's videos I get like tips for myself and stuff like that, as well as I find that the content on YouTube, for myself anyway, is probably more productive, like learning about like study techniques or watching other med school vlogs and stuff like that. Like that's probably more productive than like reading tweets on like of random jokes or memes on TikTok and stuff like that. At the beginning of the week I did find that I wouldn't say I was more productive, but I would say that I'd get things done quicker. That is one thing about YouTube, like I can often have it on in the background while I'm doing stuff, so that is definitely a positive. My biggest problem with social media is that I used to just sit down in my bed like for 5 minutes and then like 2 hours later I'd still be there. So yeah, that is a habit that I broke. I don't really enjoy watching YouTube by itself. I like to have it on in the background of doing something, so that is definitely helpful. So to fill the time that I used to sit in my bed and scroll endlessly on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, I spent a lot more time checking in with my friends. So whether it was texting them or FaceTiming them, that's how I filled my time, and I loved it. Like I found that I'd rather hear the opinions of my friends or how their day's been than read about the opinions of a stranger on the internet that like I don't care about, doesn't care about me. So yeah, like that was definitely a revelation, was that I actually do have the time to check in with my friends. But yeah, I do have that time when I don't use social media. Also, I think I've been a bit calmer, maybe. I have anxiety and I'm a very worrisome person and I'm a huge overthinker, and I came to the realization that I don't think as an overthinker it helps me seeing millions of people's opinions on the internet, if that makes sense. Like, my opinions are enough for me, like I think about them enough, rather than the alternative, which is social media, of being bombarded without your consent of people's opinions on this topic, that topic, this topic, news articles, stuff like that. Like, it is just a source of stress. So I would rather be able to log on to the news on my laptop when I choose to, rather than scrolling through TikTok expecting to see a meme and instead like my whole day ruined because I've seen some bad news or something. And another thing that I found quite funny is that I really thought that deleting social media would stop me from shopping. As we all know, there's a lot of like ads and stuff, like personalized ads that come through on specifically Instagram is really bad for it. So I thought, oh, okay, no problem, I'll delete it and then I won't be constantly tempted to buy things. But the problem is I had all this time on my hands, so I just bought things. I would just shop. So I've probably spent more this week than I have since uni started in September when I was using social media. So yeah, that is definitely like a consequence that I didn't expect. So obviously there are positives and definitely negatives of deleting social media. So another unexpected negative of deleting social media was Taylor Swift announcing a new album. So, I mean, basically it's one of her re-records, which I knew were coming eventually, but I didn't know when. And on Twitter, like, I'm a massive Taylor Swift fan. I mean, in real life, I'm a massive Taylor Swift fan. But on Twitter, I always find out about, like, the Taylor Swift news first, like, before she's even announced it sometimes. So I felt like such a peasant having to find out from my best friend texting me being like, oh, have you seen Taylor Swift's new announcement? And then I had to rely on her, bless her, to like to send me like all the screenshots and stuff, and I was so close to breaking my social media ban because like I just felt like I needed to go onto Twitter and like see her announcement and see other people's reactions. And she announced Fearless, which is actually one of my favourite Taylor Swift albums. So I know that I would have spent hours on Twitter that day, and I probably wouldn't have regretted it. Like, I'm not saying it's a negative thing that I would have spent hours, and I'm saying that I don't know, because on the one hand, like, I definitely missed the opportunity to talk about my feelings with other Taylor Swift fans, but on the other hand, like, it's not like anyone interacted with me anyway. Like, I would have just been shouting into the void, and like, what's productive about that, you know what I mean? So I got to share my excitement with like a few of my closest friends, and maybe that's even better. So I up until this moment I have been quite worried about like, what if she announces stuff and I'm not there to see it, or blah blah blah. But now that I'm thinking about it, I guess that's kind of like a childish worry. Because yeah, I think in my head I missed that community, but I'm not really sure if I was part of much of a community anyway. And then, as I mentioned before, I didn't set out on this week to study more, but I thought that it might be a obvious consequence of deleting social media, and that did happen, thankfully. So it didn't happen for the first 4 days. Like, the first 4 days I didn't study at all, and I was quite stressed about it. I was like, I've deleted all social media and I still haven't studied, like, what is wrong with me? But then on Friday I had the full day off, so I booked to go to the library and then I studied for the whole day. And it was such a good feeling, and I definitely think that deleting social media helped with that. It meant that I didn't have an excuse for anything else to do that day. And also, like, more importantly, obviously I did take breaks throughout my long study session, but when I did have social media I would pick up my phone and I'd be like, oh, I'll just have 5 minutes more, 5 minutes more, like, oh, okay, I'll just wait until 1/2 now, or like, oh, now I'm hungry. And like, just that 5 minute break would turn into like an hour. But this time I obviously didn't have that option, so during that break I would either reply to any text messages that my friends had sent me, or I'd edit my video, which is something that is obviously productive, but I just enjoy it so much. But another interesting conversation I've had this week is about my YouTube channel and the future of it. And obviously a lot of people use social media to share and promote their YouTube channels, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't re-download Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok perhaps. So yeah, so maybe it's a conversation less about removing yourself from social media and more about redefining what social media means to you and the terms that you have with it. Because I think the expectation is, and the hope of the social media companies is that they're gonna like suck you in, make it addictive, and it's kind of gonna, it's gonna rule your life. Like I do feel like social media used to rule my life. So yeah, I guess if I can purposefully redesign and redefine how I use social media. For example, one thing I've been thinking about is about just logging in on Twitter on my laptop when I choose to, rather than re-downloading it on my phone. But even that, it's Monday evening now, and I could have done that at any time today. And I had moments where I was like, oh, should I log in and, you know, talk about the new album and stuff, and then I don't know, I just thought there's not really that appeal to. Just doesn't really appeal to me. And I do miss TikTok. TikTok is very funny, but again, like I don't have that pull to re-download it, which is very interesting, and I can't really put it into words. And yet Instagram was the one that I enjoyed the least, but I feel like I could possibly gain the most out of in terms of promoting my videos. So in the future, when my channel is at a stage to be promoted, then I will look again and maybe create a new Instagram just for my channel and like for business purposes. So yeah, there's actually so many more different ways that we can use social media that we don't think of, like rather than just wasting time, in my opinion. Like everything I've said in this video is completely my opinion. We're all different people, we've all had different experiences, so I don't want anyone to feel like I'm shaming them or judging them for how they use social media. I just wanted to like share my experience and have a little chat about things that I've learnt this week. I think definitely my main thing was I just wanted like more wellness and more time for myself and more mindfulness, so to be actually present in the moment. Something that's really scared me about COVID is the idea that like time is so fleeting. I feel like I personally feel like I've wasted a year, and obviously that's not my fault, but I just get really jittery and I think that I want to make the most out of my time. So that's what I'm saying, like this is why like I think this was the right idea for me. Thank you, if you got this far, for listening to my little rant about social media. And like I said, it's just like my own experiences of this week. I hope it's been interesting to someone. If not, then no worries, I won't take it personally. Maybe it's been an interesting perspective for you at the end of the day. And yeah, thank you YouTube for prompting me to do this challenge. That is kind of like, I wouldn't say, would I say changed my life? I'd say it changed my life, like it's changed things about my life. But not in that like all purposeful way that people usually say like, oh, it changed my life. But yeah, I'm at a different stage now, I think. And we'll see how it lasts, because maybe in a couple of weeks time I will relapse into my addiction. But let's hope not. And some of my goals I achieved. So for example, like now I can eat a meal without going on my phone and walk a place without being on my phone, which is nice. And like I said, it comes back to that mindfulness. I wanted to be able to do that and like be in the present and watch a movie and enjoy it instead of just being on my phone all the time. That's definitely something that I've learnt to do in just a week, so it's quite exciting to think about what a couple of months will do. Some of the goals I didn't achieve, so I wanted to read more in the time that I wasn't using social media, but I unexpectedly just replaced it instead with YouTube, which was unexpected. Like I actually didn't really watch that much YouTube before this week. But like I explained earlier on, I'm hoping to reap the benefits in that, in kind of like inspiration and learning different camera techniques and study techniques and stuff like that. So it's been a productive week in the fact that I feel like I've learned quite a bit, and I'm glad that I can film this video and chat with you guys about it. So yeah, that's enough ranting from me. I think I've said everything that I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you did like it. And maybe I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest.